This is part 1 of our lesson on applications of equation solving review. So our question here says, Blake and Brielle are both bakers. Blake earns $25 to start, plus $15 per hour he works. Brielle earns $55 to start, but earns $5 less per hour than Blake. It says write an equation for Blake's total earnings, E, when he works N hours. Okay, so I am going to start my equation with E. So anytime we're doing an equation, we put our initial value first, and then we do our rate of change. So if I look at Blake, it says Blake earns $25 to start. That is Blake's initial value. So we have $25 to start, and then plus $15 per hour. So to that 25, we are adding 15, but we're not just doing it once. We're doing it multiple times depending on how many hours Blake worked. So I'm going to multiply it by N, where N is the number of hours. So if he works 1 hour, it's just 15 times 1, which is $15. If he worked 2 hours, I would do 15 times 2, which is $30. Right. Brielle, it says write an equation for Brielle's total earnings when she works N hours. So I am going to start again with E. Now, what does it say about Brielle? Brielle earns $55 to start. So she starts at $55 and earns $5 less per hour than Blake. So Blake earned $15 per hour, and she is earning $5 less than that. So she is earning $10 per hour. So I'm going to add $10 times the number of hours, or E equals 55 plus 10N. All right, part C says, calculate the amount of money that Blake would earn if he worked for 8 hours. Now, according to my equation, E is the earnings, N is the hours. So if we're doing 8 hours, that's going to end up being the N. So I know that N is 8. So what I'm going to do is take the equation, and everywhere I see N, I'm going to put in the number 8. So I'm going to start by writing down the equation. So E equals 25 plus 15N, right? That is Blake's equation. And then we're going to put 8 in for N. So E equals 25 plus 15 times 8. Order of operations says that we multiply before we add. So I'm going to do 15 times 8, which is 120. And then I will add 25 and 120, and I get 145. So calculate the amount of money that Blake would earn. I'm going to say, therefore, Blake would earn $145. All right, let's try D. Calculate the number of hours that Brielle worked if she earned $175. So we are going to use Brielle's equation. And then N is the number of hours, E is her earnings. So she's earning $175, so that is going to be my E. So I'm going to take the equation, E equals 55 plus 10N. And in place of E, we're going to put in 175. I leave the 55 plus 10N, exactly the same. Now, if you don't mind solving with N on the right, then I would go ahead and start solving. But if you don't like having the N on the right, we can trade the two sides. And then on the right-hand side, I do like having the N term first. So I might switch the order of the 10 and the 55. You just need to make sure that the sign stays the same so that the 10 is still positive. So I have 10N. And then the 55 should be positive, so plus 55 equals 175. And then from here, we are just going to solve by rearranging. I'm going to move any addition or subtraction first, so I would subtract 55 from both sides. So I get 10N equals, that should be, I think, 120. Yep, there's 120. And then we will divide that by 10. And that gives me 12. Okay, so calculate the number of hours that Brielle worked if she earns $175. I'm going to say, therefore, Brielle worked 12 hours. Okay, we have 2 more questions. It says, how many hours would they each need to work in order to earn the same amount of money? So for this, we're looking for them working the same number of hours and earning the same amount of money. So what I'm interested in is when the amount of money that Blake earns is equal to the amount of money that Brielle earns. That's what we're looking for, where they're making the same amount of money. Well, in order to figure that out, I have an equation for Blake. I know that Blake's earnings are 25 plus 15n. So I can replace Blake with 25 plus 15n. And I know that Brielle's earnings were 55 plus 10n. So I can put in 55 plus 10n. And then all I need to do is solve for n. Now, I have n's on both sides, so I am going to try to move one of them to the other side. I like to move them to the left, so I'm going to try to eliminate that 10n by subtracting 10n from both sides. So I will have 25, and then 15n minus 10n is 5n. And then on the other side, I have 55, and then 10n minus 10n, they're gone. So all I need to do is solve for n. If you're having trouble having the n be second, you can trade the order of these two as long as you keep their sign with them. So this would be 5n and then positive 25 equals 55. So in solving, I would subtract 25 from both sides. So I have 5n equals 55, take away 25, should be 30. Oh, there it is. And then we would finish off by dividing both sides by 5. And I would get that n equals 6. So how many hours would they each need to work in order to earn the same amount of money? I'm going to say, therefore, they both need to work for 6 hours. Okay, our last one says, how much money did they each earn by working the same number of hours? So we just figured out that they would earn the same amount of money if they worked for 6 hours. So this question is really asking, how much money did they earn when they both worked for 6 hours? So it doesn't matter for this one whose equation I choose. I should get the exact same answer if I use either Blake's or Brielle's. So it doesn't matter whose equation I want to pick. I think I'm just going to pick Blake. So Blake is E equals 25 plus 15n. And then 6 hours, that would be my n. I'm just going to put 6 in for n. So 25 plus 15 times 6. I need to multiply first according to order of operations. So 15 times 6 is 90. And then 90 plus 25 is 115. So they would both earn the same amount of money if they worked for 6 hours, and the amount of money they would earn is $115. So I'm going to say, therefore, they each earned $115. Right? That's it for question number 1 on our applications of equation solving review.